The Blood Seal. It was a gloomy Friday when Marko received a letter in his mailbox. The letter didn't look unusual except for the blood-red seal. Inside was a short message. "I will protect you, but you must play by my rules." No signature, no explanation. Marko shrugged, assuming someone was playing a bad joke. He threw the letter in the trash and headed to his room. However, as he walked down the hallway, the lights began to flicker. "This is bizarre," he murmured, feeling a shiver run down his spine. That night, he had the strangest dreams. He was in an old house, the walls covered in red symbols. He walked through rooms that seemed more and more distorted. At one point, he found himself in front of a mirror. What he saw wasn't his reflection. The figure in the mirror had black eyes and blood-covered lips. Slowly, it raised its hand and pointed to a door behind him. He woke up drenched in sweat, his heart pounding in his chest. The next morning, Marko noticed strange scratches on his bedroom wall. "Someone is messing with me," he thought, but deep down, he felt something more serious was going on. Throughout the day, he had the feeling that someone was watching him. Every sound and every shadow seemed ominous. He tried to distract himself by going about his daily routine, but the sense of dread lingered. At work, he found it hard to concentrate. His colleagues noticed his distracted state and asked if everything was all right, but Marko just brushed it off as lack of sleep. The next night, the dream repeated. This time, the figure in the mirror spoke. "I will protect you, but you must play by my rules." He woke up with a headache and the feeling that he had to do something. When he went to the bathroom, he saw bloody marks on his hands. He quickly washed them, but the marks wouldn't go away. He decided to visit his friend Luka, who was well-versed in folklore and the supernatural. Luka listened intently as Marko recounted the events of the past few days. "This sounds like a protective entity, but with a dark twist," Luka said thoughtfully. "The Blood Seal is ancient magic. It can protect, but if the rules are broken, it can become vengeful." Marko showed Luka the letter, and Luka's eyes widened. "This symbol is from a very old ritual," he explained. "If you ignore the rules, the protector turns into a punisher. We need to figure out what rules you've broken and how to appease it." That day, Marko received a second letter. The seal was blood red again, and inside was the message. The first rule was ignored. Punishment follows. He was terrified. He felt the walls closing in around him. He had to find out what was happening. Studying the symbol on the letter, he discovered it was from an old protection ritual. If a rule is broken, the protector becomes the punisher. He realized his only hope was to find a way to appease the protector. That night, he dreamed again, but this time, the figure gave him a task. Find the source. Find the Blood Seal. He woke up with a clear vision of an old abandoned house on the edge of town. The next evening, he went to that house. It was old and decrepit, but Marko knew it was the place he sought. Inside, the walls were covered in the same symbols as in his dreams. He found a room with a mirror. The figure from his dreams stood before him, clearer than ever. "I'm here," Marko said, his voice trembling. The figure slowly raised its hand and pointed to an old chest in the corner of the room. He opened the chest and found an old diary and a blood seal. The diary belonged to someone named Milos, who was convinced he was being haunted by demons. The blood seal was a symbol of protection, but also a curse. Marko knew what he had to do. Using the blood seal, he performed the ritual again, this time correctly, to appease the protector. As he spoke the words from the diary, the house shook. The figure in the mirror slowly faded, leaving behind a sense of peace. When he returned home, Marko burned both letters. He knew he had to be careful, but he felt he had survived the worst. The light stopped flickering, and his dreams became peaceful. However, every time he saw a red seal, he remembered the protector and the rules he would never break again. Days passed, and Marko tried to return to normal life, but the sense of unease never completely left him. He would occasionally catch glimpses of shadows moving in the corners of his vision, or hear whispers just beyond the range of his hearing. He chalked it up to his nerves, still frazzled from the ordeal. One evening, as he was organizing his desk, he found another letter hidden under a pile of papers. His heart sank when he saw the blood-red seal. Hesitating, he opened it with trembling hands,